All right, I'm pushing the button right now. I'll let you know when it's live. Okay, we should be good.
Okay, welcome everyone. Good evening. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do now. See, I should have stayed home or stayed shut off. Okay, I'm going to go through and have all the board members introduce themselves. I'm Chris Mothershead. Mike
Ziegler.
Kevin Thompson.
Kevin Thompson.
Kevin.
Kevin Pena.
Laura.
Laura Creighton.
Okay, and welcome to everyone else that's with us tonight.
Hey, Chris, 1 second. Can someone confirm that the volume's working on the stream? I'm not hearing anything for some reason. I don't know if it's just not pulling the right audio for me. I just wanted to make sure we were good.
We can hear you, Stefan.
Okay, thanks. All right, we're good then.
Okay, so has everyone had a chance to review the agenda? We'll start with the consent agenda. Do you want me to say what about the public comment now?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
So we received quite a few public comments, and because of the content, we have to respect the privacy of some of the things that, or some of the people, the personnel that were involved in the comment. And all of the board members received a copy of the public comments before the meeting so that they had a chance to review them. What else was I going to say? So in respect for the privacy issue, we're not going to be reading all of those public comments, but to be aware that all of the board members did have a chance to see them and review them before the meeting. Okay. So on to, is there any questions or concerns about the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
We have a motion to approve and a second to approve the consent agenda. Are there any other concerns or questions about the consent agenda? When I call your name, please state your vote. Mike?
Aye.
Kevin P?
Aye.
Kevin Thompson?
Kevin, aye.
Laura?
Aye.
Motion carries. But we do have some other public comment.
Yeah, the ones that didn't have the personnel listed in there.
Okay.
Laura's gonna read those.
Okay, are you guys ready?
Yep.
We're ready.
All right, this is Jamie McMillan, 207 Hillcrest Avenue. As you all look towards the 2021-2022 school year, I respectfully ask that the priorities set forth by the school district are focused on the education of our students. I fully understand that 2021 was a year full of unknowns and distractions, but sadly, I feel that the district got so distracted that the primary goal and purpose of our schools was blurred. Undoubtedly, the season of COVID has required extra grace to be given to everyone, but there comes a point when a line has to be drawn between grace and complacency. My daughter recently missed a quiz while traveling for the state basketball tournament. Upon her return, she had trouble getting the quiz made up before the end of the quarter because of the teacher's schedule. She was told she would have an incomplete reflected in her grade on her report card, but not to worry about it because she could make it up before end of semester. So she accepted the D on her report card and justified it to me. A year ago, having a D on her report card under these circumstances would have been devastating to her, but this level of complacency is being normalized. This is one of numerous examples that I could give that has been very disappointing. Not to mention that my child has yet to receive any work or instruction on a Friday. It's time for Glendive Public Schools to raise the bar, set expectations, and hold everyone accountable. Renew pride and foster success. No more excuses, no more pretending. And we have Darcy Baker, 102 Georgetown Drive. I just wanted to voice my support for a 4-day school week. Both as a classified staff at the high school and a parent to 2 children, the 4-day school week has been great. My family is hopeful that the 4-day school week will continue in the future. Thank you. Rebecca Kazaza, 2026 Wyoming Avenue, number 202. As a teacher, I would just like to voice my opinion of the 4-day week schedule we currently have. I believe it has been incredibly beneficial for both educators and students. It has given us time to work one-on-one with non-proficient students, which not only helps them catch up with schoolwork, but also facilitates a more positive and personal relationship between staff and student. In the past, students have also been absent on Fridays for sports activities or other reasons. Having no school on Fridays has meant that these students no longer fall as far behind. It has also been a key factor in maintaining my own mental health. This is the first year I have not had to take hours of work home with me because we have Fridays to grade and prepare for the upcoming week. This ability to separate home and work has been a positive, healthy change in my life. I also think keeping a 4-day week next year with longer days so we don't lose necessary time in class will give teachers valuable opportunities to meet with each other and collaborate. This could help our academic programs excel. I ask that you consider keeping a 4-day week next year, or at least polling the teachers for their opinions and feedback before making a decision. Thank you so much for your time and support, especially during this tumultuous year. Then we have Sarah Thorson, 207 3rd Street. My daughter was recently asked to quarantine after being named a close contact to someone at school. While I wasn't thrilled that she had to quarantine, it was our experience when she was allowed to return to school. It was our experience when she was allowed to return to school that has shown me again just how badly decisions surrounding the reopening plan for Glendive Public Schools have failed our students. As I reflect on the past 8 months and look forward to the 21-22 school year, I think it is fair to ask some hard and uncomfortable questions of our school board, administrators, and teachers. Bullet point, has the best interest of our students been the guiding principle through the year, or did you make decisions out of fear of being sued? Have you met the demands of the Glendive Education Association while letting the education and mental health of our students fall to the wayside? Have you taught our kids that just getting by is good enough when it comes to their education and grades? Have you properly prepared our children for the next step, whether it's the next grade, the next school, a job, or college? There are hundreds of questions I could ask, but the only one that really matters is, what are you going to do to make sure next year you give our kids the education they deserve? I understand that this year has been a balancing act, and no one was going to be 100% happy with any decision that was made. But if you are not serving your students, what good are you doing as a school district? It's time to stop letting COVID be an excuse and start educating our kids again. You have put our students on the back burner long enough. I think that's, did I miss one? 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's it.
No, that was it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Laura, for reading those, and thank you, everyone, for submitting your comments to us. We appreciate that. Do we have any board communication tonight?
Nope.
Okay. Reports. Does anybody have anything that they'd like to add to their reports or amend on their reports, or are there any questions or concerns from anyone about anything on the reports?
I would just like to say, give an update on our kindergarten screenings. So at Jefferson last Friday, we had kindergarten screenings and registration, and we completed 75 kindergarten screenings. So it was a great day. We had a great turnout, and we're super excited for our incoming kindergartners.
Yeah, and so to give people context, I believe that's one of the highest number of kids coming to kindergarten screening that we've had in a very long time, which I think is, just like Mrs. Couvert said, very exciting and a great thing. So that's pretty good. And Caroline, would you mind saying at this time, I was going to do it later when we talked about the calendar, but since we're talking about kindergarten, just last time we gave a presentation about kindergarten and how what the data looked like for our kindergartners this year, and we've seen an increase in learning with the model. But I know there's a lot of fears about what by some people in the community as to what school might look like for kindergartners next year. And so, Ms. Couvert, can you just say what, I know we had talked about this before, kind of what the general idea is with parents now that we have kindergarten screening and what that looks like?
Absolutely. So I've met with my kindergarten team lots of times, and we've kind of decided that our plan is to have kindergarten looking like the rest of the district for this fall. However, we would like to possibly give a choice to parents, because we have heard some really positive things about this hybrid model that kindergarten has been in. So our plan is to send out a survey to the incoming kindergartners, to those families, and asking if just kind of judging, getting some numbers on how many people would be interested in the hybrid model. And if there are enough people to support having a classroom that is hybrid, again, that would be on parent choice, then we would go further with that. But otherwise, the majority of kindergarten, if not all, will be the same as the rest of the district.
Great. Thanks, Mrs. Couvert.
Anyone else have anything else they'd like to add, or?
The only thing I would like to add is we have updated our website and our app. And so some people, if they've already downloaded our app, they might need to re-download it. I know that I had to re-download my app in order for it to kind of kick in. So I had to uninstall it and then reinstall it. And the way you find our app, if you don't have it, is just go into your app store and just type in Glendive Public Schools, and you will be able to find it really easily and download that. And that's a great way to kind of keep informed by what's happening in our school district. And that's for parents, community members, family members of people in our district, whoever it is. We're trying to do our best to get information out there. And then our website has a little bit more information on some things in our app, but our app, you can find a lot of the updates and stuff, but our website has quite a bit of information too. And so that's going to take a little bit of time to kind of get back to where it probably should be looks wise. And we're still kind of trying to change some things over, since it's just a new system. We're in this with the same company. They've just kind of changed some things. So we're trying to get that set. And so I'm hoping in the next couple of months, we can have that kind of back to where it was before and continue to build it. So, but I wanted to make sure that everyone knew about that, especially if you don't have the app. I highly suggest downloading it if you have that, to keep up to date. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Well, if that's all anybody has, I think we'll move on to reports and discussion. The Finance Committee report.
We discussed that last board meeting because we had the Finance Committee right before. I just wanted to make sure the minutes were on the board report for everyone, since we got that after the fact. So
Yeah. You want to talk about the calendar for next year?
yeah, absolutely. We decided to put the calendar in the discussion area, as we were not ready to come with a recommendation for next school year. There is a lot of talk between a 5-day and a 4-day school week. And how this works is, by law, the calendar has to have input from, well, it has to be bargained basically between the GEA and the board. How it's always been done in the past is the administrators and the teachers form a committee and they look at it, get input, and then present that to the board. We were going to try to have something to present for discussion today. We weren't able to get that finalized, but our goal is within the next month to start soliciting information from our community, getting information out there so that in May we can come with the to the May board meeting with a recommendation as to a calendar. Right now we're working on a 5-day calendar, which is very similar to any calendar that we've had in years past, depending on, where that's, at. We start about, I think it's the third week in August, I believe. It's the week of August 16th, and that's both calendars would look that way, and then end in May like we normally do. So there's no real big changes in a 5-day calendar if that's what ends up happening. We felt like that was important, not knowing exactly what's going to go or happen. And so we have that pretty much set, but we are working on a 4-day calendar that we are working on to present not only to our community, but to the board for input. And that's just what we do not have set yet. And so I wanted to just to kind of give you guys an update on where we're at with that and what that might look like. Because I know there's a lot of concerns in our community, maybe even with the board, as to, what does a 4-day look like, because there is a lot of different versions of a 4-day out there. And so like this year we had a 4-day, which was kind of hybrid to COVID, where kids normally in a 4-day, kids go longer Monday through Thursday. This year, because of how things were structured with online, offsite, kids being quarantined and on-site learning, we needed time to be able to work with those, how we were structured. So it was actually down a little bit than they normally would go to school. Next year, no matter what 4-day, whatever that looks like, I think one thing that we are in agreement on is Monday through Thursday, school would be extended for students. If you're looking at the junior high, middle school, around a 3:45 time getting out of school to allow for more hours, because one thing that everyone needs to know is all of our funding is based on A and B, average number belonging, which is how many students are not only coming to our school, but making sure they go the minimum hours for each school that they're in. Jefferson needs to get 720. Basically, well, I would say kindergarten through 3rd grade, and then 4th grade through 12th grade has to get 1,080 hours. And so in our calendar, we have to try to make sure that all of that time is accounted for. They've made different arrangements for different things that we can make sure we get those hours in different ways. And so in a 4-day school model, what we're trying to figure out is what does Fridays look like, because a lot of times you have to extend your year or different things, but in order to get those hours, but those hours will be met with whatever schedule comes to the board to make sure that that is there. That's not something that we cannot do, because if we don't do that, we don't get the funding, and that's just not smart, right? So we're working on that to make sure that all that time is accounted for. We are looking at Fridays being a time for non-proficient students to be at school working on their stuff for about 3 hours, depending on what school. That's kind of fluctuating, but up to 3 hours. And so that is being, looked at for non-proficient students. And then just trying to go through here. I don't want to make sure I miss anything. So school will be lengthened from Monday through Thursday. There are part of the hard part, just so everyone knows, when we're talking about schedules and stuff and calendars, a lot of it's based off of busing, trying to get one. So if people they're like, why does Jefferson always get out earlier or later? I think this year it's a little bit later, but usually it's earlier than everyone else. It's because of how far the schools are. They have to get out so that they can get on the bus, go to the other schools and get picked up. And so busing affects, and this is in any town, busing affects when school starts and ends. And so that's always been a thing. And so we have to try to manage that with trying to get our hours. The hardest school to try to get our hours is Lincoln. Lincoln is always the hardest school to try to get hours from. And so that's the one we have to try to make sure if we can get the hours there, we can get the hours everywhere else. And so that will be in place to make sure that we do that. Let's see. Fridays, if we do have students coming that are non-proficient, we're trying to make sure we offer lunch and breakfast as well. I know that was something that a lot of people had concerns of with our model this year. So we've been trying to take the feedback that we've gotten and trying to put it into our model moving forward. We are still looking at offering online for students. We know that COVID is just not going to magically go away, and some people do like the online model, but there's also concern with that. So there's some people that are, blood pressure is rising right now with me saying that, but that is only for people who are doing that. And what we're planning on doing it differently than we did this year. And so it would be totally a standalone. We're trying to do it differently. There's probably not going to be very many people that are going to choose online, but that'll be something we want to have an option for people who do want to be a part of Glendive Public Schools, but does not want to be on site for certain reasons. And there's always, just like this year, there's stipulations as to making sure that they maintain their grades and everything else in order to be able to continue online. So those expectations are still going to be set up, but we are looking into that still. And it'll probably be it'll probably be up until the middle of summer before we get it solidified, because there's just a lot of work, because we're going into a different direction than we did this year. So we're still trying to figure that out, but we do want that option to try to maintain as much A and B as we can, and provide just different options like Mrs. Couvert was talking about for people who want those options. And we've talked about kindergarten already with different options. And so that's what I can give you as an update right now. We're planning on meeting again next week. We're hoping to get to some kind of a solidified 4-day calendar so that we can start getting it out to the community, start getting feedback on this, getting suggestions, and trying to then come in May with a calendar proposal for the board. So anybody have any questions or anything on that? That's what I got on that.
I guess not. Okay. The levy flyer discussion.
But can I jump in for just a second? Sorry,
Yeah.
Stefan.
Yeah, sure.
I received a message. We may have missed a public comment that was sent at 4:07 p.m. from Sandy Johnson. She's forwarded me the email that she has from GPS saying that the message was received.
Well, if that happened, that would definitely be my fault on this. Let me look. I have it all pulled up. Just hold on one second.
Sure.
Looks like that's my fault. I missed 2. I knew there was more, but I couldn't get my screen to pull them down.
Yeah, it was the top 2. I tried counting when you were there, and I missed it when I counted when you said that, because I did the same thing. So
I'm sorry, I should have said it earlier.
No, thank you so much, Kevin. Yeah, that was good. And
Yes.
And Sandy and Wenda, thank you for reaching out to Kevin to make sure. I would have felt horrible if we would have missed that. So
Do you want me to read those now?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that'd be good.
I think it'd be a good idea. Thank you, Laura.
Oh, I apologize. I don't know. My bad. All right, we have Sandy Johnson, 420 East Man. I would like to ask the board, when the time comes to decide on the kindergarten schedule for next year, please consider all sides before making any decisions to keep the 2-day school week. We are very lucky to have outstanding kindergarten teachers at JES, and I appreciate the work that they do. However, with the 2-day-a-week schedule, you must consider how much review is expected to occur outside of the classroom with the assistance of parents, guardians, before it is chalked up to being successful. I understand that there is literature that supports the success of part-time kindergarten programs. There is also evidence that shows that homework has minimal academic benefits for children in the early elementary years. Homework for a kindergarten student can be very stressful, not only for the student, but also the parents. I know my son cannot be the only student who has struggled without a daily school routine. 2 days a week has not been enough to create consistency for him. My son is also in title, and I cannot help but think about how much better I believe he would be doing if he were able to have more time with his teachers each week. So many things outside of academia are learned in kindergarten, including learning how to focus, sharing, respecting authority, taking turns, following directions, among many other things. Things that happen inside a classroom with their peers. These normal stages of development are important in preparing them for the first grade and beyond. I do not believe my son's experience has prepared him for next year the same way that my daughter's did when she was in kindergarten. To think that this cycle could continue is very disheartening to me, and I hope the board seriously considers all circumstances surrounding the kindergarten schedule for 21-22. Thank you, Sandy Johnson. Winda Thompson, 1508 Prospect Drive. The 4-day school week has really worked well for our family, and we are hoping that GPS will continue with it next fall. And again, I apologize for missing that page, you guys. Thank you.
And I apologize for when was asked, not seeing it as well.
Yeah, and I'm glad that they sent the notification to Kevin to let us know that we missed it so we could have them state or have them read before the end of the meeting. So thank you.
Yep, thanks, Kevin. So the levy flyer discussion.
Let's go for that one.
So I linked a document that just gives our voters information on the levy. Today, the district went through the process of, stuffing ballots and to be sent out. And so we need to get information out there to voters as to what this is all about in terms of why we have to do, levies. And that's, really because of budget authority is the reason why it's so important for our district to have levies. If we do not, if the levies do not pass, our budget authority goes down and we can't get back up to that spot to fund what's there. We did not lose enough students to really be able to just cut whole classes. Levies allow us to have smaller class sizes without having to cut and go down. And so the flyer's there for you to look at to hopefully explain to voters the information on that. I want to make sure that you guys were aware of it and also had input on that before we put that out publicly to see if something needs to be changed. It's very similar to what we have normally put out around this time to give information. So there's not a whole lot of changes that have been made just with the new updated information. So if anybody has any questions or see some things that we need to change before we make it a finalized version to send out, that'd be great.
Everybody get a chance to review it. Questions, concerns, corrections?
All right,
I'm thinking that everybody feels that it is ready to be distributed.
sounds good. I'll finalize it and we'll get it out sometime this week. So
Okay.
thanks, everyone. And if you have any other ideas as to how we can, educate in a different way, just let us know.
All righty, let's move on to our action items. We had some outstanding donations from the Masons this last month.
Agree. And I think there's been more classroom wishes than that. Those were just the ones that we got reported to from the schools. So, but I do think that there was more given out as well. So normally those don't always come to you guys. Just so everyone knows, when there's a donation, if it's over $200, it comes to the board. That's kind of the procedure for you guys to approve so that we can also get that recognition out there for the great donation. And if it's under $200, we send thank you notes and stuff to them. So that's kind of the procedure that we have.
I just want to say how amazing it is that they donated those water bottle filling stations. I mean, everything they do is awesome, but that I think is a really big deal in a lot of ways, and the kids will appreciate that a ton.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So with that, I guess I move to accept the donations as listed.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the donations from the Masons. Is there any other questions or comments anybody would like to make? When I call your name, please state your vote. Laura,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Kevin T,
Aye.
Kevin P.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. And at this time, we're going to close the meeting to have an evaluation with the superintendent. Once we're done with our conversation about that, we will reopen the meeting to address the superintendent's contract and continue through the rest of the meeting. So everyone's welcome to come back when we are done, but
Chris, this is Ann.
yes.
Could I please have you take the minutes when you come back? Because I will leave the meeting, so I'll need to know what the decision was and who made the motion, etc. when you come back into open session, unless you want to call me.
No.
And Ann, you can just stay on if that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't mind at all. So if you would be okay with that.
Please. She's not even gonna comment now, huh?
I
But
don't
thank
know.
you, everyone, for
We'll
anybody
see.
that come back and join us.
Okay, I'm gonna stop the live stream now and then we'll start it back up. We'll see. I'm starting it right now.
It says it's live.
Okay, I think we're good.
You thought, okay. We're reopening the regular school board meeting with a lot less of us here. We had our evaluation. The executive committee got together and had recommendation. Laura, do you want to tell everybody, or do you want me to?
Oh, I'm gonna let you have this one. I've stepped over my own words too many times today.
We're recommending that we pretty much just extend Mr. Schreiber's contract for one more year, so he has another 3-year contract, and to increase his, what's it called? Professional development, $1,500 more. Does anybody have any questions? Feedback?
No.
Concerns? One motion?
Motion to pass.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to extend the superintendent contract for one more year and increase the professional development by $1,500. When I call your name, please state your vote. Kevin Thompson,
Aye.
Kevin Pena,
Aye.
Laura,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
motion carried. We didn't have any Wagus or Volkert, did we?
We did not. Nope, I think that's it.
Okay. Kevin Pena seconded the the contract, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I thought that's who it was.
Yep. It was me.
Just making sure. Thank you, Kevin. Well, I think we get to adjourn until May 10th. Man, that's like, wow. Like being on a vacation because we haven't had as many board meetings as we did there for a while.
Yeah, there was a lot.
Thank you, everyone.
See ya.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Mr. Schreibeis, did you know that the GPS is backwards on your